And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries, let's go for now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow.
What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another episode of the Transfer Show with yours truly, JSGC. It's episode number 2, and we've seen a lot happen in the last week, which we will speak about and digest in today's video. So, if you are enjoying the content, then please do subscribe to my channel. We're now less than 400 subs away from my aim of 45,000 subscribers, so any help towards that would be great. Also, don't forget as well, social media links, you can find them in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up on today's stream. We did smash 300 likes on episode number 1, so let's go for 300 likes once more. That would be much appreciated. And if you're watching this after the stream, then do let me know your thoughts in the comments below, including the topic of today's conversation. Will we ever see Sverre Nypan around the Manchester City first team? Do let me know in the comments below. And also chat whilst we're live. Feel free to interact and say hello and give me your thoughts. Welcome to Spike tuning in. Much appreciated. We'll speak about the outs in just one moment because I know it's created a nice bit of a topic of conversation. Edekan, thank you for tuning in. Reckons 6 players going to leave. Niall, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Reckons it might be 4 or 5 rather than 6. Spike, chipping in with his own conversation, says it looks like both goalkeepers going to stay, but if I had it my way, I'd be selling Ortega along with Gundogan, Bernardo, Kyle Walker, Mateus Nunes, and we'll be looking to bring in Diogo Costa from FC Porto. Very interesting. I'll speak about that in just one moment. Mana VJet, thank you for tuning in, much appreciated. Am I live? Yes. Yes, I am. Very much live. All Things Football, welcome once more. Much appreciated. Says, are there any updates on Ederson's future? He's gone to the Club World Cup with Manchester City. So I would say certainly for the next 3 to 4 weeks, it looks like Ederson and everybody else that's gone to the USA is going to be staying. However, these players don't end up getting as many minutes as maybe what they're looking for, then all of a sudden, maybe not. Maybe they may look to leave. We'll have to wait and see. Manchester City have taken a very experienced team to the USA for the Club World Cup, so we will see what does happen with regards to that. Niall says, we ain't getting a player of Costa's quality for him to sit on the bench and be second choice. I want to echo them thoughts. They're my thoughts as well. Someone as good as Diogo Costa, who's Portugal's number 1, isn't going to want to transfer to Manchester City to be Man City's number 2. So we will see. Spike said he would like to see a rotation of Ederson and Costa. 2 high-quality, very good goalkeepers. One of them isn't going to be the backup player that's sitting on the bench. It's not going to happen. I'd say for Diogo Costa to happen, it's got to be Ederson that leaves Manchester City, in my opinion. Thank you very much to Man Vajit saying he reckons Sverre Nypan will be playing after 2 years, which is really interesting. We'll have a look at his statistics and I'll see maybe we can get some more updates about where he's going to be heading out on loan to, and then we'll speak more about his potential prospects when it comes to featuring in the City first team squad. I'm hoping we can bring in a right back before the window closes. It feels like the little missing piece in Man City's jigsaw right now. Unusual, thank you for tuning in as well. Says we need to cash in on a new right back in Livramento. Very important, plus he's homegrown. I like that he's versatile. He can also play on the right and on the left, so you end up getting injuries to the likes of Ake, who's been pretty injury prone, or long term we want to see Joško Vardiol as a centre back rather than playing on the left hand side, and you wanted somebody to be able to alternate on that left hand side with Ryan Aït-Nouri, then someone like Livramento would be of high importance, a versatile player who can play on both flanks, and most importantly here, homegrown, because Man City have no space left when it comes to non-homegrown players. In fact, in terms of non-homegrown players, there's going to be a couple of players left disappointed that they're not going to make Man City's Champions League squad. Vita Hayes was one player that missed out in the February registration window, and at the moment, if nobody else leaves City, there's going to be at least a couple of players left disappointed because we've just got too many non-homegrown players. We're fine in the Premier League for this season due to players' ages, but from next season we won't be okay, and certainly not okay for the Champions League. So I am expecting Manchester City to be making some movements when it comes to their out. Theo, thank you for tuning in. Says been a City fan for a whopping nearly 60 years. Says loves your input and daily updates. Thank you very much appreciated, and tuning in, I presume from Ireland there, so much appreciated. Welcome, Theo, and thank you for tuning in, much appreciated. Mawaka, welcome, thank you for tuning in. We will have a transfer update out later on today. I'll be honest with you guys, it is a little quiet out there. It's to be expected as Man City have travelled over to the Club World Cup and we've signed 4 players already in this window. We are going to have a little period now where it is going to be quiet. I'm quite thankful for that. It makes my life in keeping things up to date a little easier, but it gets very hard work when we're doing so much activity in a short space of time with so much going on. It allows us to start to focus about what this window is really going to look like. What's it going to look like in terms of player sales? Who's going to be leaving? Who's going to be on new contracts? Which youngsters are going to be featuring around the City first team? What's players' fitness looking like ahead of the new season, etc, etc. We'll get these answers in the next 3 to 5 weeks, and then we'll push on from there, I'm sure. And I don't think it'd go amiss for us maybe to be targeting at least another homegrown player in the next 3 to 5 weeks as well. It's the direction that I would be doing if I was Hugo Viana and I was in charge at City. Welcome, Rodri, much appreciated. Says we need a new fullback. He reckons John Stones needs replacing. Very injury prone. I think he's into his last year of his City contract, and it is something that City do need to be thinking about in this window. I agree. Clutch, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Says I think we will need to sell some to make the homegrown quota. We're fine with homegrown players at the moment. There will be some homegrown players that leave. I mean, Calvin Phillips we speak about, but Calvin Phillips isn't a registered player, so it doesn't really matter what happens to Calvin Phillips, but everybody else, registered players, so we've got space for homegrown players to be brought in. We've got space for homegrown players to leave, and I think that's the thing that we're looking at here when it comes to certainly the next few weeks in this transfer window anyway. Cozy, thank you for tuning in. Says if we don't get Livramento, my second option, if it had to be a homegrown player, I mean, Ola Aina available from Forest for free would probably be a good short-term option on that right-hand side. Just gives us a better option. But I think for me, a lot depends, and this is what I'd be trialling at the Club World Cup over the next couple of games against winnable opposition, in my opinion. I'd be trying Rico Lewis on the right-hand side, seeing how he fares, and if he puts in a couple of really good performances, then maybe Rico Lewis is the answer. If we don't think Rico Lewis is the answer, then certainly got to be having a good look at that right-hand side. Even if Rico Lewis is the answer, I think we've got to be looking at that right-hand side, because I think Mateus Nunes, I can't remember who mentioned it before, but I think Mateus Nunes is one of them potential players that could leave City in this window, and if he gets a sniff that he's not going to be a regular first team player at City in the next 12 months, he will want to be on the plane with Portugal to the World Cup next summer, which means he will go to pursue first team football elsewhere to ensure that he's in the strongest position possible. So yeah, Chief, thank you for tuning in. Pedro Porro, good question. Let me have a quick search of where he was trained. Of course, Pedro Porro he's not English, so not classified as homegrown from that end, but you can be classed as homegrown as long as he's done at least 3 years in an academy in England. So he's come from the Spanish academies. He joined Manchester City in 2019 when he was 20 years old, so he would not be classed as homegrown. There we go. There's your answer. DeWall, thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. Says, thoughts on will Nico O'Reilly and will Rico Lewis, I presume you're on about Nico O'Reilly and not Nico Gonzalez there. Will they get game time this season? There's many minutes to be played for. As long as them two players have got the same mentality as Oscar Bob, which is there's lots of minutes and lots of games to be playing for. He wants to do what's best for the team. If they continue to work hard, they will get minutes. It will happen. So James McAtee would get minutes if he was willing to fight and willing to stay here, but he doesn't want to be here anymore. So it's difficult when young players don't want to be here, and it's a very bitter pill for us to swallow as well. But it's just something that it's part of the game and we have to deal with. Fusant, thanks for tuning in. Says we need Vanderson at right back. They're not homegrown players, I don't think so. That's the problem that we're looking at here. If we opened up non-homegrown options, then it opens up a lot more of the market. At the moment, we're pretty limited on players. So yeah. Potentially not. I will add, it looks like in the last 4 weeks or so, he looks physically bigger, he looks physically stronger, he looks physically taller of some of the pictures that I've seen of Manchester City training ahead of the Club World Cup for Rico Lewis. So I think he's always put a shift in. My biggest concern is his physicality. I just don't think he's got the physicality to deal with the Premier League and how physical the league can be. But it looks like he's been bulking up. He just looks a bit leaner. He looks a bit meaner. He looks a bit tougher. He looks a bit taller and just more like he's got more of a physical presence about him. And if he can just beef himself up a little bit and make sure he doesn't get bullied off the ball, and he can assert himself into the City squad, then there's a good player there, because he's really good with his distribution. He's good with his passing. He's got a good eye for goal and he's good getting forward. There's a good player there somewhere, I think. There's something about Rico Lewis. There's a good player there. It's just always been that physical side of him, the defending side of him. Can he cope? If he continues to work on that, then potentially, I have my reservations about it. No, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I do have my reservations about it, but I certainly think there's a player there somewhere. I don't see Jed Spence leaving Spurs. They've got Champions League football. It's a big problem that we have with Livramento. I mean, if either of them teams didn't have Champions League football, for me it'd be a bit of a no-brainer to make a move for them, and I think the player would probably be keen on that move. Because they've been playing for Spurs, they've worked hard to win a trophy and worked hard to get into the into the Champions League through the Europa League qualification route. It makes Spence a very difficult target. Daniel Levy just doesn't like negotiating or working with us, so it becomes even more complicated unless we're prepared to basically be ripped off. Livramento becomes very difficult unless he's willing to force the transfer, and I'll be honest, I don't think he's willing to do that. So there's just not many more homegrown right backs, and that's why we're in this predicament right now. If there was options, I think City would be striking. Probably would have already struck. They probably would already have struck in time for the Club World Cup. But here we are. It wouldn't surprise me if Bernardo Silva does leave. I'm not too sure if it will be to Saudi Arabia. I think Bernardo Silva, as I was speaking about with Mateus Nunes before, I think the big problem that he's got is the World Cup's coming up in the next 12 months, and obviously Ronaldo plays in the Portugal national team and also plays in Saudi Arabia and gets in there, but that's because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not entirely sure if Bernardo Silva went over to Saudi Arabia, whether that would benefit him, and I think Kevin De Bruyne recognised this as well. That's why he's playing for Napoli. He knows that that's his best bet that he's got of going to the World Cup next year, and Bernardo Silva, if he leaves City, will be thinking about that World Cup with Portugal. That's where he wants to be. So we'll see. We will see. Whose interview are we on about there, Niall, my friend? He says he's kind of happy with City and explain why he's going to the Club World Cup. I've missed the interview, I'm afraid. So, who said that? Let me know, mate. Let me know. Chauncey, thanks for tuning in. I don't think Kyle Walker Peters of the quality that we're looking for. I feel like that's very much a homegrown player that's signed because he's homegrown and nothing else, and he'll just be a League Cup, FA Cup, and the odd couple of minutes here and there in the Premier League kind of player. And I feel like we want to be targeting players who are going to improve our starting 11. If that means spending a bit more money to bring in better quality, then I'd be prepared to do so. But as I said, we're on limitations when it comes to homegrown players. So Spike, yeah, it seems that's the case. Sky Sports News were reporting that before. I think they said it's £100 million flat upfront fee, £16 million with bonuses. Takes the deal up to £116 million, so there's a bit of room for negotiation with Bayer Leverkusen of around £10 million. I'm going to presume that Bayer Leverkusen are going to get first dibs on a Liverpool player as well to ensure that Liverpool have ended up negotiating £10 million off the price, but doesn't exclude from the fact that City have got big bits of business done for the same price that Liverpool have brought Florian Wirtz in for. And I think that whilst he's an outstanding player and certainly improves Liverpool's starting 11, Liverpool do have some space in their squad that needs addressing and needs some serious investment in, including the linked with the exit door with Darwin Nunez. But who's going to pick up Darwin Nunez unless it's going to be for a really affordable, cheap deal? How much money have Liverpool got left to invest in a goal scorer? It's all fine and great having creative players who are happy to chip in with goals here and there. Liverpool, for me, weren't outstanding last season. It was more about, I thought Arsenal were off the pace and certainly Man City were off the pace. That if City were at pace and we were capable of hitting 90 plus points like we're capable of, I think that would push Liverpool all the way. So Liverpool have got to be thinking to themselves about how do they strengthen, and I'd have thought that they've invested that money in a goal scorer. I really do. I'm surprised that they decided to move for Florian Wirtz, but I'm surprised Florian Wirtz decided he wanted to move outside of Germany. And as I said, he's an outstanding player, but Liverpool have got to be very careful now because we've seen it with Jack Grealish, and other clubs have seen it. Chelsea are always spending big money on players. For some reason, whenever teams go up against individual-based players, they're just going to do everything they can to make sure that player is not very successful. So Jack Grealish, albeit his confidence is shot, but he's a £100 million player, and a lot of the time everyone's thinking about, I'm going to mark and deal with that £100 million player. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of Premier League players rubbing their hands thinking, I want to deal with Florian Wirtz. So Florian Wirtz is still a very young player. He's going to need a bit of time to develop. It's a very risky transfer for the price that's being paid. The deal that City have done for Rayan Cherki this week, I'm surprised Liverpool weren't all over that. £30 million. It's a low-risk transfer for a high-quality young player with bags of potential. It smells of the kind of transfer that Liverpool normally would do, and Florian Wirtz smells of the kind of transfer that Man City would normally target themselves to do, to go out there to bring in the very best high-quality players and try and get them to gel in a difficult system. But roles reversed. City have taken the low-risk move for Rayan Cherki, who's now under very little pressure heading into his move to City, and Florian Wirtz is under tremendous pressure. Liverpool are under a lot of pressure as well. He's really got to hit the ground running, because otherwise everyone's going to be speaking about, is he a £116 million flop? And that's a heck of a lot of money. It sets Liverpool back a long way if he does end up flopping for them. Because they just don't invest that heavily into their squad. It's the first time that Liverpool have decided to do so since the serious heavy investments of Alisson and Virgil van Dijk. But Liverpool don't have any excuse for not challenging for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues anymore. The money's been invested, the money's been spent, the squad is there for them. There's no real excuse, and I'm hoping that not just City but also the other Premier League teams can make a serious challenge to Liverpool for next season and start pushing towards winning them big trophies, and that's what we've got to be looking for. So as Clutch says, the pressure, it just starts to pile up once the price tag comes in and players just start to raise their game. Everyone feels like they've got a point to prove. Every single right back that's going to be taking on Florian Wirtz are going to be thinking, I've got a point to prove here against the most expensive Premier League player of all time. So here we are. Yeah. Anyway. STHA, do I think Gundogan's going to be leaving this year? Possibly. Quite possibly. I'm not going to go out there and say a yes or a no, but I certainly think there's a definite possibility. Chi, what's my predictions? City are capable of winning it. I agree with the semi-finals got to be a minimum. It all depends on who we come and face. I believe if City can turn up and play to the best of their ability, they can win it, but I'm not too sure if we will win it. It's not really the do-all and end-all for City. I mean, the City business side of things would love that prize money, but in terms of, like, me from a fan point of view, the Club World Cup's just very much just been placed out there for cash purposes. FIFA trying to drum up interest in a competition that, for me, is just they're trying to replicate what you've got with the World Cup, and there's no replicating the World Cup, and trying to make it every 4 years and basing it in different countries and throwing loads of money at it creates obviously a huge demand amongst the clubs from a business point of view. They want the prize money. They want to be winning that 90 odd million pounds, whatever it is for the winner. But more so from the players' point of view, are they overly that bothered about a Club World Cup? Because for me, it could be called anything. Could be the Emirates Cup, really. If they put the prize money as £100 million, the businesses are all of a sudden very interested. They want to win that money. I don't want to disrespect the Club World Cup, but it very much feels like pre-season. It feels like a friendly, and I think the US picked up on that vibe with the prices that they wanted to charge. There's just no demand for it. The timings of the games, as someone was speaking about, there's a game at midday over in New York at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, I should say, not New York. Crazy, absolutely crazy. There's not going to be demand for a game at midday on a working Tuesday for a Club World Cup game with two teams playing in what is very much a glorified friendly. So, yeah. No, Wesley's not close to signing, no. Wesley's an option, though, and he's an option because of his age, so we won't need to register him as a Premier League player, but we'd be struggling to register him without taking out a non-homegrown player for the Champions League, and if we're thinking about him being our long-term choice at right-back, we'd probably want to have him registered. So I think Wesley's a bit of a no-go, but that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. Anyway, we'll speak about what's happened in the last week then, since we were last live. Manchester City, of course, last week were preparing for medicals for Rayan Aït-Nouri and Tijani Reinders, who have both signed for City. Rayan Aït-Nouri was the first player through the door from Wolverhampton Wanderers, brought in for over £30 million, and a left wing-back option for Manchester City, and a quality signing, just 24 years old, a player that's going to deliver a lot of quality, Premier League proven, a good price, makes a lot of sense. First one through the door, solid transfer. Next player through the door was, of course, bringing in the third-choice goalkeeper, Bettinelli, Marcus Bettinelli from Chelsea. We've had word this week that Lord Scott Carson, the cult legend, Scott Carson, offering to Atletico Madrid players out for fights in the car park, definitely his shining moment at Manchester City in his 6 seasons at City, but it does mean we need a new homegrown goalkeeper to come in, an experienced goalkeeper to come in and be that third choice for us in case we need them, and Bettinelli is going to be that player brought in for a small fee from Chelsea. Seems happy to be here, a very tall player, was he 6'4", 6'5", another very much a sensible signing from Manchester City, in particular from the homegrown point of view. And then City added Rayan Cherki, their next signing, just over £30 million from Lyon. A high quality player, plays in attacking midfield, can play out wide, strong with both feet, speaks very good English for a player I wasn't even aware spoke English. So I'm wondering just how long has he been prepared for a move to England that he speaks fluent English. And all the players that we've brought in speak fluent English. So definitely just something City, I think, have been working on since we brought in Cody Husinov, of course, because that's a transfer that came out of nowhere. And realistically, Man City had probably wanted to get that ball rolling quite early, September, October time, to sign him in January. So he's got notice for 2 or 3 months to get private tuition in learning English so he can at least communicate. Because I feel like when we're looking for a reason as to why Cody Husinov isn't in the Manchester City squad and why he's not starting as many games, and you know, he was a player that we brought in to help with our injury crisis at the time, and then not really had a look in since. And I think it's all down to communication. If the manager and the players can't really communicate to the player because the player can't speak English, it becomes very problematic. And with us getting players back from injury, they're going to leapfrog Cody Husinov. So I'm hoping that Husinov's going to be working really hard over the coming 6 to 12 months to make sure that, you know, this time next year he's fluent in English, just like everybody else is, that he's able to learn and communicate with everybody. He understands everything that's been said to him from a learning point of view, and we can push from there. But yeah, again, but I think Rayan Cherki, quality player to have been brought in, very happy with that signing. And then, of course, last through the door, who I thought was maybe going to be the first through the door, was Tijani Reinders, which I think's Man City's best bit of business that we've done so far, because in terms of players that we've really been lacking in quality, has very much been some fresh legs in that midfield. And we're looking here about a player who's capable of dropping deep, picking the ball up, moving it backwards, moving it forward, moving it sideways. Very much a Manchester City and Pep Guardiola kind of midfielder, and I'm so excited to see him and Rodri alongside each other working hard. It's going to be pure art, footballing art, midfield art, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't want to be dramatic in saying we're looking here at two players in terms of Rodri and Tijani Reinders, of players who are capable of replicating what both Xavi and Iniesta could do with peak prime Barcelona under Pep Guardiola, but certainly Rodri and Tijani Reinders isn't a bad couple of midfield options for Manchester City, and it does solve a lot of problems in City's midfield now. In particular, now we've got Nico Gonzalez there in as another option for City in midfield as well. Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Kovacic, all high quality players as well. These are very much just quality players that we've got, and a really good start to the window. And we are speaking right now about potentially adding another player who's very close to signing for Manchester City, and it is, of course, this player, and the player I want to speak about in today's video for you guys, which is Sverre Nypan. A high quality player, a real high quality young player. I mean, just look at his average ratings over the last 12 months playing first team football in the top division in Norway, 7.33, just 18 years old, over 6 feet tall, right footed, plays in midfield. He's a good high quality young player. Now, City's plan is that they're going to want to loan him for the upcoming season. I did genuinely think it was going to be the City Football Group and Girona, but Fabrizio Romano has just said no. And I don't think Sverre Nypan's that keen on a move to Spain, because the original offer from City was he was going to be a player for Girona, part of the City Football Group. Said he didn't want that. He wanted to be a Man City player. So he's very much said no to Girona and the CFG project, but said a big yes to Manchester City instead, and City have pulled strings and managed to make it happen. And the compromise is that he would have to head out on loan for the next 12 months, and again he said no to Girona, so that's not going to be happening. So I'm wondering where he is going to go to, because Man City, if you pay attention to some of the transfers that we've been doing over the last few months, Man City have been improving their relations with some teams, including paying a little bit more money to Lyon. He's now an option on loan to Lyon for the season, playing in Ligue 1 for a very big French club, one of the biggest in France. RC Lens, Man City have improved relations tenfold with them over the transfer of Cody Husanov and sending Juma Bar on loan there, and Juma Bar being linked with another loan there once more as well. Juma Bar also being linked with a move to Southampton. I gave my opinions on that in my transfer update. I think Juma Bar's good enough to be playing for one of Europe's biggest and best leagues and playing for a really good team. I think he can do a little better than playing in the Football League and playing in the Championship. No doubt Southampton are a good team, and he'd do very well there. Of course, they picked up RC Lens' manager, but I just feel like he could do better than playing week on week in the Championship. Always a good learning curve, but I just feel like there's going to be better options there. And it's the same with Nypan. There'll be no shortage of interest. There'll be a lot of EFL interest in Nypan, but we're looking here at a player who's capable of throwing in 7.33s over a consistent basis. Had a very good December. Used to playing in some very tricky cold conditions in Norway, so I don't think it'll be too much of a problem for him adapting to life in England. Of course, we've already seen Norwegian success in the likes of Erling Haaland and Oscar Bob. It's not too much of a problem. The conditions in Norway are a lot harsher than what they get here in the UK and in England and in Manchester. Manchester can get quite cold, dull, miserable, and it rains, but the same can be said in Norway, apart from it gets a lot colder there and it can get a bit warmer here in England. So I don't think it'd be within Nypan's best interest to completely culturally change things up and look for a move into the Mediterranean and start looking at the likes of Italy and Spain for a move. I think France would make quite a lot of sense. I think the Bundesliga, Man City have got good relations, of course, with Eintracht Frankfurt as well, from the transfer of Omar Marmoush. And I just think it's about City thinking about where do they think is going to be best for Nypan's development. I can't see there being that many Premier League clubs willing to give Nypan regular minutes. Will they consider the Championship? That's another question, but if they're definitely a high-quality player, I mean, just having a look at his season's heat map, he's a player that just likes to drift out to the left-hand side, it seems, and for a player right-footed, it's very surprising. Just having a look at some of these stats here, he doesn't... I mean, so it's not bad, is it? 28 appearances, playing over 2,000 minutes, 8 goals, 7 assists, average rating of 7.28. This season, playing 9 games, 654 minutes, 1 goal, no assist, just under an average of 7. Maybe he just he prospers playing in cold, harsh conditions. Look at these consistencies running from through July through to December. As soon as the conditions go harsh, Sverre Nypan's at his very best. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where City choose to send him, and the fact that City are going to be investing £12.5 million in him, I find really interesting. So we'll see. I can see him in France. That's where I can see him. I can see Juma Bar in France as well, if I'm being completely honest with you. So definitely, Adrian, thank you for tuning in. I don't think... Everyone keeps saying he's just going to be a player for profit. I don't think so. I think we're just looking here at a player who's not going to get the minutes that he's looking for at City for this season. And while City looked for the outgoings and to clear things out over the next 12 months, getting rid of the older players, the unks at Manchester City, Sverre Nypan's going to be looking for regular first team minutes to make sure that he's in a strong position going in from next summer to be challenging for a spot in City's first team in the first squad, first 11. So yeah, and in the squad for Manchester City, and I think the same would be said for Juma Bar as well. Just got to be patient. There's some high quality young players here. I mean, worst case for City from a business point of view, I mean, they're probably going to be thinking that these are high quality young players doing very well, that if we don't have space for them and the future isn't at Man City, then they're going to make some serious money on these high quality players. But I feel like we're just getting towards a tipping point where we no longer want to be letting our best young quality players that we've got available to us, whether they be homegrown or non-homegrown, we want them to be around the first team squad. You know, if the likes of Vita Hayes and Claudio Echeverri end up going out on loan, we don't want it to end up like Maximo Perrone, where he's on the verge of joining Como on a permanent deal and we never see them in the sky blue of Manchester City. We want to be seeing the biggest and best talents making it at Manchester City. We don't want to be seeing the likes of Morgan Rogers being so successful at Aston Villa. We don't want to be seeing our young quality players excelling at other clubs and we continue to make money and we continue to be frustrated and, every now and then having a season that leads to a bit of disappointment for us. We want to be having a really strong, fit squad that's capable of competing, and the way that you go about that is making sure that your variations are right and your variety in the teams are right as well. You've got that experience there, you've got proven winners in your team, but you've also got high quality young players who, when these players get a little older, the experienced players, you're ready for the next generation to really push through, because the likes of Rodri, Ruben Diaz, Edison, these high quality players are not going to be here forever, so you're looking for the next generation, and I just feel like we'd have paid dividends not selling some of our players on for profit and just keeping hold of them for 1 or 2 more seasons so they were ready to go. And ultimately, I felt like we sold too soon and we now face ourselves with some problems. But it becomes even more difficult when players don't want to be here. Players like Cole Palmer, who we all knew was going to be a quality player. And if he'd been patient here, he'd have been a quality player at City, ready to be playing behind Erling Haaland. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at, and I feel like that's going to be the direction for the next 3 to 5 weeks for Manchester City. It's going to be a case of getting rid of the old guard and ensuring that we've got high quality players, young quality players coming in and making up the Manchester City squad for the remainder of this window and heading into the 2025-2026 season. So we need clarity. We need rid of Kyle Walker. Not impressed with his comments that he's come out with today on a podcast, speaking about he'd exchange one of the Premier Leagues that he won with Man City to win a trophy with Spurs. It's a disrespectful comment to make to the fans. He might feel that way. I know it's a job to him, but to the fans, winning trophies at a football club, it means the world to them. And Kyle Walker knows that. He's been the City captain. He knows that, and he doesn't think. And I think that's just Kyle Walker summed up in a sentence, really. He just doesn't think. An exceptional football player, one of the best that I've ever seen at Manchester City, but in terms of his thought process, his IQ's just not there. I mean, the stuff that he's done to his wife just tells you everything you need to know about the man, and it's just tarnished as far as I'm concerned with Kyle Walker, so it's well within his best interest to leave. He's been linked today with a move to Fenerbahce in Turkey, and I am genuinely getting to the point where I'm thinking to myself, the further Kyle Walker goes away from Man City, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And there'll be other homegrown players that will leave. McAtee's future needs sorting. He's not going to sign a new contract, so he needs to be sold. A lot of the German clubs that he was interested in joining are no longer interested, so it might be a Premier League sale that he goes to. We need clarity on Calvin Phillips, what's happening with John Stones, and interest coming in from Everton. What's happening with Jack Grealish, interest from Everton, from Spurs, from Newcastle. These players, they all need to sort that out, if I'm being completely honest. So, and that's before we even dipped onto the non-homegrown players. I'd have thought it is a certainty that Ederson was going to leave for Saudi Arabia, but I'm still waiting for Saudi Arabia to come in for an offer. That might come later in the window. We'll see, and if that turns Ederson's head, then City will need another goalkeeper. I imagine that goalkeeper will probably be Diogo Costa from FC Porto, if he doesn't end up going to another club. In the meantime, we need clarity. Gundogan, is he going to be staying? What's happening there? What's happening with Bernardo Silva? Got 12 months left on his contract. So we'll see. We'll see. Can't see. I can't see Nico Williams signing for City. If I'm being honest, can't see it. I'd like Livramento. I mean, if Man City are to do no more serious business in this window, and it's just going to be some outgoings, and there's no real non-homegrown players leaving, and we've got some cash to sell, cash to burn to bring a player in, and we don't need to sell. I would put some heavy pressure onto Newcastle and Livramento, and I'd let it be known that we're willing to spend serious amounts of money to make that transfer happen. This is a tactic I felt City should have done last summer with Bruno Guimaraes, and we didn't. We didn't put enough pressure on, and we didn't force the issue. Some might see it as disrespectful, but if we think there's a player that's right for us, and a player's expressed any kind of interest to be interested to join City, then you've got to pursue that. And I think if we could do that with Livramento, and we, say that you've got a regular first team spot here at City, competing for the Premier League and Champions League, and we're prepared to spend crazy money to bring you in, and you're going to get a nice pay rise as well, might just turn his head. But we'll see. And that's the direction now, guys, for this transfer window for the few weeks. So the excitement, maybe some are going to suggest it's died down, but I always say that this transfer window, it's long, and it's also very interesting, and things just get thrown on you on a regular basis, and we have to negotiate. There'll be stuff we've not spoken about at all in this window that will happen in this transfer window, and that's just involving City. So we'll see. As the window goes on, clubs get more desperate. They start making crazy offers. They start pushing for players that they thought that they wouldn't be interested in joining them, who are interested in joining them, and it just it can explode very quickly, and it's a very exciting period. It's the soap opera of the footballing world, the transfer market, and I'm really looking forward to continuing with my Daily City transfer update series for you guys to enjoy. So we'll be back again with another episode of the transfer show. It won't be later next week, it'll be earlier next week. I will have my link out for that for you to come and join me live, and we'll speak more about these transfers for you guys to enjoy. So do stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new around here. Jean, thanks for tuning in. Jose Mourinho and Kyle Walker. Yeah, very, very interesting combination. I can agree. I can see it happening. I really can. So, cute. We'll have the latest on Sangare in today's transfer update. It'll be up in the next hour or so for you guys to enjoy. Spike, you are more than welcome. And Denton, no problem. It'll be early next week for you guys to enjoy. So don't forget to subscribe if you are new around here. It is free to subscribe now, less than 400 subs away from my goal of 45,000 subscribers. Social media links are in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's stream. That would be much appreciated. We'll go ambitious. We'll go 300 likes. So any help towards that would be much appreciated. And also don't forget to get your thoughts in the comments below. Finally, Niall, I will address what you've just said. Why not Nico Williams? He's homegrown. He's young. I just don't think he's good enough. I think we're going back to what we were speaking about before. with Kyle Walker-Peters, young homegrown players coming in who, what we don't want to do is bring homegrown players in for the sake of bringing homegrown players in, because that's the only players we can choose to bring in. We want to be bringing in players who we think are going to be right for the club, and the direction that we've always done under Chicky, and he'll be teaching this to Hugo Viana as well, is if we can't find the right player, don't go out there and bring in the wrong player. You just don't do that business, and you address it in another window, is what they would be looking for. So that's just my opinion. For me, there's a great option in Livramento. There's a really good cheap option and a temporary option in Ola Aina, because I'm sure we could get him on a 2-year contract. Whereas someone like Nico Williams, a young player, probably be looking for a 5-year contract. So, Denton, you are more than welcome, and thank you very much for the £2 donation as well. Much appreciated, sending a super sticker. Big shout out to you, helping to support the future content created here on my channel, and I think that's a wonderful way to end today's fantastic transfer show live stream. So, thank you so much for watching. You don't have to wait too long for the next one. It will be out early next week, so I'll see you then. Daily transfer update out in the next hour as well, so I will see you then. Annie, thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated as well. So take it easy, guys. Have a great weekend. Peace. Ciao for now.